thank you. This is part of our diplomacy inquiry. So when we wanted to look at it because quantum is such a hot global race. And I wanted to ask you both, Jonathan, as a leading quantum key opinion leader and policy shaper, is the quantum program leadership group looking at the security and sovereignty race globally and asking not just do we have an active and healthy academic ecosystem, but how many of our researchers are overseas? How exposed are we to incubating other countries' quantum programs that may not be in our interests? Are those questions being asked, and where does it sit in the own access collaborate framework?
So I don't believe we're looking at it as rigorously as you put those questions. It's certainly consideration. So if I think about the international, the government-to-government MOUs and MOCs and what have you, they certainly take into account the core nations where we feel we have shared values and indeed shared interests and skills, complementary skills. So that's certainly formed the basis for those as well. And those are, I believe, we need to see them developed into actual plans that help facilitate engagement. But I'm not sure I don't believe we've actually studied so what is going on and where are the skills to the level that you just asked.
Duncan Jones, did you want to add anything?
Duncan, I'm particularly interested in, because you've touched on where we might use procurement and where we might use government lever to build those applications. Do you see an ambition through the moonshots to make the UK a safe place for you to develop those technologies in a Five Eyes or in a secure sovereign supply chain?
I think certainly it's been positive to see concrete agreements coming together. I think the Tech Prosperity Deal was just mentioned, and that certainly touches on a number of areas we think are critical to do collaboratively. So, for example, an open challenge right now that no one nation can solve themselves is even how do we assess the power of a quantum computer. It's such a simple question, but actually there isn't one view on that. And so there are areas in which we need to collaborate to make progress for ourselves. I think when it comes to this sovereignty topic, my main concern, and I don't think this will happen to us, but we need to be cognizant that we don't focus too much on that, and as a result of that focus, lose our ability to innovate, particularly around use cases and around algorithm development. So again, coming back to my earlier point, what that really means is that while we need to support our local compute capabilities and growing those, that must be part of the strategy. We can't only do that. We need to be acknowledging that we have to work with others.
They're interesting questions. Replies, thank you, Chair, because on the one hand, this is a global race and we have hostile actors who want to win the race for quantum and put a coach and horses through cybersecurity and drive incredible sovereign advantage. And Duncan, on the other hand, we're building an academic system and you want it to be as open as possible. The reason we're having this really is, how do we reconcile those two? How do we make sure we don't incubate our competitors and our sovereign hostile actors' quantum programs and have very little left to show for it? Any recommendations you'd suggest we raise with ministers to get that balance right?
Well, there are two things there. I mean, you started talking about the hostile actors, of which there are few, I hope, and we understand who they are. And containing that, I'm sure, is something we can do, just ensuring that businesses are mindful of who they are working with and understand the constraints. Sometimes being told who you can and cannot do and where the warnings are would be useful. Putting that to one side, the global competition race it is another matter again. So that is with our allies, I guess. And there, I think industry is best placed to do that. If we recognise that it will be global supply chains, then our businesses have to be able to work with and access suppliers, global suppliers, the best suppliers, in order to be able to build their products. So I'd probably focus around how can we help our British companies work with the people that they want to work with in order to build their products, because they're the ones who are doing the competing for us. So I would focus on if we have international partnerships and we understand what we want from them, we need to be actually facilitating that and helping our companies reach out and work with their partners.
Sounds like you're both quite relaxed. Actually, that we should be partnering with Huawei and encouraging companies to work with anyone out there who'll fund research and be an open and relaxed. I'm interested that our invitation to be to take a slightly different approach, given the global race, is quite antithetical to the way the UK normally does.
I apologize. You said I think the adversaries bit and the competition are two separate things. You mentioned Huawei, which is Chinese, of course, and I would have thought that, it does in telecoms, fits into the adversary camp. So that, as an example, I'll go, I don't know if anybody is. I would certainly advise against doing that sort of collaboration. It is more about how do we ensure there is healthy competition that we're able to benefit from with, for example, European Union and the member states, with the US, with the Asian countries, for example.
Thank you.
Yeah.